Not too long ago, NASCAR announced an all-new schedule for the 2020 NASCAR season. Some things I do like, while others I'm not quite a big fan of. And with NASCAR bringing even more changes to the schedule in 2021, I've been concocting an idea on what I think would be a pretty good 2021 schedule for NASCAR. So today, I'm going to share with you guys my personal idea for the 2021 NASCAR schedule, or pretty much any future schedule as a whole. In this schedule, I decided to put a lot more emphasis on road courses and short tracks, because that's, what everyone really wants. Especially with two short tracks on the rise of maybe making a comeback in NASCAR, I want us maybe focus a lot more on those as well. And maybe even some other things as well, who knows. So without further ado, here's my ideal 2021 NASCAR Cup Series schedule. Now, despite a couple people maybe disagreeing with me, I still feel like the Daytona 500 should open up the season. I mean, we've been doing it for a long time, and while we didn't used to a while back with Riverside opening up the schedule, I still feel like the Daytona 500, as the biggest race of the year, is perfect to open up the season. However, we will start shaking things up with the second race of the season, which I think Sonoma Raceway could be a perfect fit for. With the scorching heat of summer in California being very drastic at NASCAR races, I feel like moving it up to winter/spring would actually be a pretty good fit and maybe even increase attendance. Plus, I feel like shaking things up in the first two races, with the first race being a super speedway and the second being a road course, I think would be a pretty interesting idea. And I am going to go off topic for a second, just a little nitpick. So, why do we have to kill off the grass during every race? Come on. I mean, the track looks gorgeous with grass. This looks beautiful. Why do you have to just go ahead and kill off all the grass just for one event? Please, can we at least keep the grass for once? I think it would actually look amazing with grass. Alright, moving on. Moving on with the third race this season, we will attend Las Vegas for the next race like normal. Or at least for now. Las Vegas will be the second race this season in 2020, but I feel like Vegas being a third stop would actually be a pretty decent stop. And last but certainly not least on our NASCAR Goes West campaign, ISM Motor Speedway will wrap it all up. And in all honesty, I feel like a night version of this race would actually be pretty cool. While I might feel like later on this season it would be a lot more respectable, I feel like a night race practically in either one would be really cool. And while you might be wondering what happens to Auto Club, I'll explain it in a minute. Moving back to the east for race number 5, we head to Atlanta Motor Speedway. And I feel like Atlanta would be a perfect fit for an early race. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Nothing else changes, really. Moving on to the 6th race, just like for the 2020 season, Homestead Miami moves up from the season finale to a little earlier on the season. And in all honesty, I feel like this might be a decent change, but who knows. Next up, I decided to put Richmond a couple spots ahead right after Homestead. I feel like Richmond would actually be a pretty good track, and I feel like moving it up a couple spots I think would be a pretty good idea. Now we're going to start going back into the more major changes with NASCAR's debut at Iowa Motor Speedway. I feel like Iowa becoming the 8th race of the schedule would be a pretty interesting take, and I feel like Iowa is about dang ready to start running cup races. Moving on to race number 9, New Hampshire moves up to a spring race and will take Richmond's old spot. Now this one might be a little controversial due to how bland a lot of the old New Hampshire races were in the most recent years. I feel like New Hampshire could be a pretty decent spot, especially this early on in the season. And lastly, to wrap up the month of April and race number 10, Talladega will still be in its normal spot. To open up the month of May for race 11, I decided to put Auto Club here. I feel like sort of a quick stop in the West Coast would actually be a pretty interesting idea, and I honestly feel like it could be a good fit. After taking our trip to Auto Club and heading back to the East Coast, why don't we take a stop at Texas Motor Speedway for race number 12. This will be, however, Texas's only race of the season. That, of course, will bring us back to the East Coast for race number 13 at Martinsville, like what will happen in the 2020 season, and of course, we'll be running it under the lights. Following after Martinsville will be our 3-trip take to Charlotte Motor Speedway with the Open, All-Star Race, and wrapping it all up with the Coke 600 like normal. Now, I kinda was debating on if I wanted to keep Kansas on the schedule or not. However, I will keep one race on the schedule for Kansas, and that'll be race number 15 in May. Moving back to the more major changes, Nashville Fairgrounds will have a Cup Series race as the first race in June and race number 16. I feel like Nashville Fairgrounds is a perfect fit for NASCAR races, especially in the Cup Series. Maybe after some slight renovations, we could be seeing some intense NASCAR racing here. Moving on, Chicagoland moves up to race number 17, so it does move up one race. And I do feel like Chicagoland could be a very good track, especially after the great race we saw last year. Moving up next will be the Pocono doubleheader for race 18 and race 19, but with a twist. The first race will run the normal Pocono Speedway like normal. The second will run the road course version of Pocono. I feel like this could actually be very good for a couple reasons. One, it'll increase the track diversity, and two, we won't be watching the same race 2 days in a row. I feel like this could be very healthy for Pocono, especially since the track can get a little bland every once in a while. Moving on to the next race, Daytona will once again host the 4th of July event. And I honestly feel like this would be a lot better than Indy for a multitude of reasons. For starters, we've been doing this for a long time. Second of all, I feel like Daytona is actually perfect for 4th of July racing. And third, I think Daytona as a regular season finale would honestly not be a good idea. However, the Brickyard will be following right after with our second doubleheader event. Just like Pocono, the Brickyard 400 will start it off, followed by the road course version of Indy. I feel like Indy running the road course version, and I feel like Indy having a doubleheader would actually be very good, especially for a legendary track like Indy. Similar to Kansas, I was very hesitant on putting Kentucky back on the schedule, but hopefully the new Aero package will make Kentucky an interesting race, so I decided to keep it a spot on the schedule. Moving on to race number 24, another major change as Rockingham Motor Speedway will make its return. The Rock will obtain one race on a schedule where New Hampshire used to be. After NASCAR's 2-week hiatus in the middle of the summer, they will make their return at Watkins Glen Motor Speedway. I mean, this track is just fantastic. You can't replace it. However, it does move up one spot on the schedule. For race number 26, Dover has been promoted to the regular season finale. While I'm kind of 50-50 on if this is a good idea or not, I feel like Dover could be a pretty good finishing point for the regular season. What am I even saying? Following the end of the regular season, NASCAR would take another week off and then move on to Darlington Motor Speedway to begin the playoffs. The main reason I decided to add another week off was to keep Darlington as a Labor Day weekend special. And I just really hope we don't have to put chase markings on throwbacks. Come on, NASCAR, can you please do something else to sort of show that they're in the playoffs? I mean, not like add all this green nonsense. Come on, please, just please. The second race of the playoffs will now become Michigan International Speedway. I honestly feel like MIS becoming a playoff race and becoming a fall race could be significantly good, mainly because then we won't have to face the scorching heats of June and August, but also I feel like Michigan would be a pretty good playoff race. Hopefully the new Aero package will be good. Please don't let us down, boys. And to wrap up the first round, Bristol will still be the cutoff race like planned. However, Bristol will be demoted to only one race, mainly because of the declining popularity of the Spring Bristol race, but I still feel like Bristol's night race will be a fantastic finish to the first round. And just like that, we're in the round of 12 and returning to Las Vegas for the next race in the playoffs. I still feel like Las Vegas is a pretty good race for the playoffs. Don't deny it. Next might be a pretty big shocker. ISM will now become the second race in the second round. I honestly feel like ISM, while it could be a good season finale, I still feel like I have a pretty interesting idea on what I think would happen. But you'll see in a minute. And of course, wrapping out the round of 12 will be the Charlotte Roval, like what they're planning on doing in 2020. I think the Charlotte Roval is a very good addition to the playoffs. The shockers continue as Talladega now becomes the opener for the round of 8. I honestly feel like throwing in a wild card like Talladega will still be a pretty interesting idea to sort of shake things up in the chase or playoffs. I like to call it chase, okay? It rolls off the tongue better. Martinsville will remain in the round of 8 and now as the second race rather than the last. And last but most certainly not least, to wrap up the round of 8, we yet again return to a new track to the Cup Series, Gateway. I feel like Gateway as a track, as sort of a St. Louis track, I think it would actually be a very good fit for NASCAR, in all honesty. And as for the season finale, I thought hard about this on what I think would actually be a decent race for the season finale. I was thinking about doing the thing with the NFL where they would switch the track every other season, but I feel like this track could be a good fit. What I think should be the season finale for the 2021 NASCAR season is Richmond. I mean, a lot of people might disagree with me, but I feel like Richmond's a great place to wrap up the season. And there you have it, my 2021 NASCAR season prediction. Tell me what you guys think about it in the comments below. If you'd like to change some things, add some things, who knows? I feel like this would actually be a pretty decent idea, as here you go, as you can see right there. There is my entire 36 race schedule, and there you have it. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching, and see you all next time. And don't forget, be like a boss, and subscribe to NasHawk. Wink, nudge, wink, nudge, nudge, wink, nudge, nudge, wink, nudge.